I mentioned we're on a new theme this month, the art of a grateful heart. And I'm excited about this. Now, I know that often in November we have a theme of gratitude, and I hope it doesn't become the same thing that we keep talking about. But I think it's important to keep it in our forefront, to keep it in our mind, how gratitude really does transform our lives. And it can be a spiritual practice, an art that we practice, just like any kind of art. Over time, we get more skilled and becomes more automatic. And, beginning musicians or artists of different kinds, they have this image in their head, right? And then they begin to paint it or play it, and it doesn't sound or look or you experience it quite like they thought it would. But that's because you need to develop your skills. You need to develop your craft. You need to practice. And the same with gratitude, that it is an art that we practice. And the other thing is, we being humans often forget the power of gratitude. There was a story of two elderly men who were lifetime friends, and they ran into each other, and one said, "You look rather glum today. Are you okay?" And the guy goes, Yeah, I'm okay." And he goes, "Well, what's going on?" He goes, well, like 4 weeks ago it was, that a relative died and they left me $50,000. And the other guy goes, "Wow, that's great. And the next week, my great aunt died and she left me $100,000. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Well, yeah, but then last week, a relative I didn't even know left me $250,000. He goes, "Wow, that's amazing. What? Then I don't understand why you're so glum." And he goes, "Well, this week, nothing." So see how quickly we forget? And I think that this reminder of just how gratitude is really sourced internally from the source of the divine, that all that we give, we receive, yes, it's a courtesy, perhaps, to thank anybody who gave us a gift, or somebody who has served us in a restaurant or any kind of things like that. We say thank you as a courtesy. And I'd like to see us consider that it goes deeper than that it becomes an internal experience of love, an internal experience of gratitude, that even when we thank somebody, even when we pay a bill or give something, whether it's of service or of monetary, that we come from within when we thank, that we remember the source of our abundance, of our abilities to serve, of our heart of giving. I know the other day when a couple weeks ago when we were repainting the sanctuary, and I was grateful there were so many people there to help out, because we did like 12 hours of work. I figured out an hour and a half, counting what everybody did. But I also was touched by how joyous people were in giving and volunteering and serving. And I forget that, because I get so caught up in what needs to be done, whether at my house or here, that I forget that there is a heart of volunteering that opens us up to the joy of what that is. And what we need to also remember is that gratitude is actually an ancient practice. I was reminded of that when Robin Kammerer, her book Braiding Sweetgrass, that I was reading, and her talking about reciprocity that I've talked about before, the whole Native American practice of giving for anything they take from nature, anything they harvest, that they always give a gift back to it because they want this circulation. And what I also love is that our parent organization, the editors of the Center for Spiritual Living, Science and Mind magazine, voted her to be the hero of the year, the 2025 hero of the year, because they see her as a grounding force for good, and a passion to create a unified world. And what a beautiful thing in this time that seems so divided among people, that we have this force that we claim. And she's not all the heroes they do every year in the magazine. By the way, the magazine's a great magazine. I encourage you to subscribe because it's not only great articles, but it has little featured ones that are just little page things. It's easy to read. It's easy to pick up like any kind of magazine, but it's spiritually focused. And so every year that they choose this hero, and I just appreciated that they chose a Native American and somebody who is outside of our organization. It's sort of like our Compassionate Heart Awards we do every year. And it's that way of honoring the spiritual tradition that she has had. And I know gratitude is continually on not only here in our community, but as a movement. And one thing they've done, I'm not sure if I do have this as a slide. So like I said, we're open at the top. I mentioned that, right? When I was talking to Suzanne, open at the top. So one thing we crafted these 5 steps of affirmative prayer, spiritual mind treatment it's also called, and they just changed it. I go, wait, you can't change that. There's 5 steps. No, this is how they changed it. They kept the same 5 steps. But what they're saying, and every step, add gratitude. Oh, I do that anyway. My prayers always start with gratitude, and there's gratitude in it. So when we talk about recognition, I'm grateful for the infinite wisdom, the love that is all around me. I'm so grateful for it. Notice when you do that, rather than just saying, I know there's God is everywhere, but I'm grateful that God is everywhere, opens you up even more. And to the unification, I'm one with Spirit, and I am thankful for the life force that is always healthy, abundant, and peaceful within me. See how the gratitude opens you up even more. The realization, I'm gratefully acknowledge the Spirit is moving through me, creating this intention, this healing, this realization. And thanksgiving, which before was the place, okay, gratitude only goes in this little step. That's very rigid. We want to be open. So you still more gratitude there. With the gratitude, I acknowledge that my intention is manifesting perfectly in accordance with spiritual laws. And the release, letting go, I gratefully release my intention, knowing that the universe is responding to my highest good. You don't have to know these 5 steps of prayers to have gratitude in your prayers. Just be grateful for Spirit is moving in and through your life, that the universe is responding to your request. It opens your heart. Nothing else you pull away from today or any other of my talks or classes is open heart is creative because it opens you to Spirit coming through it and opportunities that are around you. This week I was at Home Depot, one of my favorite places to be. But I tend to be a person who comes in, goes into Home Depot, get what I want, and leave. I don't linger in Home Depot. It's not like a social thing. But I found myself last week getting some paint there, and paint, particularly I have a very set routine for paint. I go to the paint counter, order my paint, I go get the other things I need, come back, the paint's ready, and I go check out, right? So I order my paint, go do my things, come back, the paint's not ready. There's a problem. They had the wrong size. They're out of a certain kind of paint I wanted, so I reconfigured the order. And now, what do I do? Because I've already done all the things I need to do. I am bound to be in this Home Depot until my paint is ready. So I think about it for a moment. Well, I am grateful that they're adjusting to the paint I want. It reminded me of when I'm leaving on an airplane and they tell me there's a delay because of mechanical issues. I'm always grateful. Take as much time as you need to get that airplane just right, because I'm always a little nervous getting on the plane anyway and trusting all is working in divine order. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful for this. And then I noticed that I also just began to watch people. I liked it. And I was just struck by how weird and wonderful people are. And guess what? As I look out today, yep, weird and wonderful. It's what we are. Michelle and I think this slide is next. Let me see where that slide is. There it is. Michelle and I went to a Halloween party and we decided to embrace our weirdness and our wonderfulness. If you don't recognize, I'm Clark Kent, who's, ready to open my clothes up and become Superman, and I've with Batwoman there, and I'm doing some investigative reporting on what Batwoman is doing as Clark Kent. Anyway, we had fun at the party, and I think I would invite all of you to embrace your weirdness, whether it's on Halloween or any day. Somebody said today, I guess I'm being human today, and yeah, that's what happens sometimes. And to have fun, find the joy of being just our unique self. And the world needs our uniqueness. Needs us not to fit into a category, being concerned about what other people think about what we're doing. Just be you. The world needs it. And the world continues to open up to our gratitude as a way to do that. Now, the word gratitude is a Latin word that comes from gratia, which is the base words of graciousness and gratefulness, meaning thanks and appreciation. And for the most part, it's talking about an external part of ourselves. But what's interesting is this Latin word is also the base for grace. And grace is an interesting word. Generally, it means unearned love. And most of the time when people think about it, they're thinking about a God out there that they receive love from, and they don't do anything to earn it. Now, that's fine if they want to believe it that way. I like the part that they think is God is love. I am more an internal, thinking God is within me and all around me. And this love that I find within me, I don't have to do anything to earn that. And what if our gratitude is like that too? What if we feel grateful not because we receive something, we get something, but because just life is so wonderful that we breathe, we walk, we connect, we are. We can be grateful just because we are. We are right here, right now, opening up to this experience. Robert Emmons, I don't know if you know him, he's a professor at UC Davis. He's known as the world's leading scientific expert on gratitude. And he has done research that shows that gratitude has positive effects on physical health, emotional balance, social harmony, and helps us deal better with adversity. So we know that there's some positive things to it, but I think it goes further than that. I do believe that gratitude is transformational, and it can bring us hope and resilience, and that our gratitude can have ripple effects on our lives. So first, this idea of that it is transformational. So we know that if we are opening to the truth of who we are, if we notice this gratitude, we can connect in deeper ways. Now, like when I was in Home Depot, I found unexpected gratitude. And often our gratitude, if someone gives us an unexpected compliment or unexpected gift, or how about this one, when you're ready to go to a meeting and the meeting gets canceled. You know how fun that is? An unexpected gift of time, right? And yet, I think that unexpectedness gives you a moment to pause about how wonderful life is. And yet that same pause can be in anywhere in our lives, that we can pause and notice, even if I think it's expected that there's gratitude there, that we can find things that are good and wonderful and beautiful. Sometimes weird and sometimes wonderful, or maybe it's just weird and wonderful in those ways. That we can expect that to happen. And it becomes a tool of awareness, a tool of contemplation, gratitude does, to reflect on what we are grateful for. Now, on the way in, and if we missed you, there's I give you a bookmark with 7 practices of gratitude, and there's one for each day of the week. If you miss, you can start today on the bottom if you want to, or Monday, or if you miss a day, it doesn't matter, just go to when it is. You can, some people are journalers, some people just prefer to contemplate. I'm more of a contemplator. I have a friend who journals so much he has like volumes of his journals in his bookshelf, but that's not me. I journal some, but generally I sit in quiet and notice things, and that works for me. So whatever works for you, and just use that as a reminder of things to be grateful for in that way. And what I know is when we pause to be grateful, we pay attention. So there's opportunities for meaningful conversations, or tasks begin to have some joy in there. We're open to intuition. We gain insight and understanding. It's that reflection process we go through that happens, because we know gratitude changes everything. We also know that grateful hearts bring us hope and resilience. Now, I'm not talking about the hope that's a false hope or a wish hope that is like a Pollyanna positive thinking. Oh, it will be better. Yeah, I'm talking about the hope that's within us, that we know, that we have a sense of the divine within us. We know that there is something beautiful coming through life, even if we're not experiencing yet. And that when we're in gratitude, it opens us up for those opportunities. What's interesting about our kind of affirmative prayer that we teach here, we have gratitude. It's a really important part of this prayer. Gratitude for what is not yet, but we know is coming. That's a hard one to have sometimes. A really hard one to have. And so it's okay if you don't have that all the time. Because life has become where you don't feel it, you're not experiencing a shift, you don't know if it's ever going to come. That's okay. But I encourage you to continue to be open to the possibility. And to pray with a practitioner, because they'll know that for you. And trust that, I mean, this world, we're a free choice, but that doesn't mean all of our choices and our thoughts create. They have an influence, but we also have everybody else in this world who has their thoughts and feelings that sometimes contradict or change or make things muddy. And we can just, like the pond, we can let the silt settle and find that calmness within and choose from there what is the highest and best. And it's with spirit that we know that truth that we have. I still am been contemplating Derek Rydell's quote that I gave last week about plan our lives as if we're doing the work and live our lives as if God is. Plan our life as if we're doing the work and live our lives as if God is. So this openness, we move in the world, we expand in our gratitude, our opening, in our life abundance. And I know it's gratitude that brings this resilience. So often I talk about resilience as like a rubber band. So in lives, we can be relaxed, the rubber band that's not stretched out at all. But as we move and do things, we stretch a little bit, and stretches are good for growth, for stepping out of the comfort zone. But also, if we don't experience a resilience, a rest, a re-energization, then we can become too stretched out. You've all had old rubber bands that no longer stretch, right? So we have to allow ourselves to stretch, but also contract to reflect. And in that reflection, we can find gratitude, which gives our rubber band more elasticity, more bandwidth, more resilience in life to handle adversity. So we always allow it to come back and then stretch. It's the being and doing of life. And it's this gratitude that can open us up in this way. Viktor Frankl, I often quote him, but I always inspired by him. So he was a survivor of a Holocaust, and from his experience of finding gratitude there, which is like, what? How can you find gratitude when you're in a concentration camp? He knew in the concentration camp, he lost his wife and one of his children, and was exposed to harsh conditions there in the concentration camp, not knowing if he would ever get out of there. And one day on a work detail of digging ditches, in like frozen dirt that was hard, it was cold outside, he happened to see a little bluebird sitting on the hill of the mound of dirt that he was stacking up. And he realized there was life. There's always life. And we can always know it to be so. No matter what's going on, there's something to be grateful for, something to affirm that there's something greater outside of us, the gift of this truth of life. And he came up with a theory that Between the stimulus and response, there's a space. And in that space lies our power to choose our response. And in our response lies our growth and freedom. Gratitude keeps that space. Gratitude opens that space that allows us to respond consciously, allows us to have that space for growth and freedom and resilience. And I think that's so important for us to remember that it lies in there. And what else I know is that gratitude sends ripples out into the universe. So from where we are, what we open up to, the greater truth of who we are. I mentioned yesterday we did a healing circle with the Day of the Dead celebration. And I was reminded when we were talking about that, I didn't talk about her in the circle, but I was reminded of a close friend I had in high school. She was a couple years older than me, and really the first person I had that there was nothing romantic between us. It was a platonic friendship, but we were very close emotionally. And I didn't grow up in a family that was shared personal things with each other. And that created a lot of, not blaming my family, but I had a lot of stuff that I needed to say, I'll say that. A lot of neuroses and angst as a teenager, and it was nice to have her to talk to. And she went off to college because, like I said, she was older than me. But then I went to the same college she went to, not because of her, but because it was a close by college, a great college. And she was missing one semester, and I asked people where she was, and I found out she was sick, and she died from a brain tumor very rapidly. And it was the first person close to me that I lost. And I went to her memorial, and it was very hard for me because I didn't know how to respond. I didn't know why. I just didn't understand loss or grief. And then a few months later, I started feeling grateful for her. And I couldn't figure that out because I thought being grateful didn't make any sense because I was sad that I'd lost her. But this feeling of gratitude over the experiences we had. And this is the beauty of gratitude, that it opens us up to seeing the good that was there, even when things were not good. The loss or perhaps the actual situation was not good, but we can find good in it. Because things may not always be, quote, good, but there's always good in it. I think of this community in a lot of ways and appreciate who we are. For me, a symbol that has always represented something is something called the three gems or the three jewels of Buddhism. And what they are, you can see them in this Venn diagram, is the Buddhists call it Buddha nature or divine connection, and they find that through their spiritual practice. There's also to the left side in the blue, the wisdom teachings that they study, and on the right, harmonious community, their Sangha. So to me, this is a representation of our own community, that we have spiritual practice together as a community, that we seek the divine connection. We have teachings here on Sunday during classes and workshops. We often are reading on our own books of things. Somebody just recommended a book to me this morning. People are always doing that, and we have this community. So it is this harmonious thing, and Buddhists will say in the middle, in this diagram, is the divine itself. And I know this continues, and Buddhism has this symbol here, the most common one, called the Om symbol or something like that. But they also have a teaching symbol that I prefer to use, just like we have a teaching symbol that's not really our religious symbol, like a cross or something, or the moons of Islam. But this idea, this symbol here is a depiction of the three. It's another way of doing the Buddhist symbols of the three jewels. And for me, this symbol, which is actually a Celtic knot, has become the symbol for this community for me. Because it has this triune nature that the Celtics believed that was interconnected in all ways, and yet it has a 3 points of a triangle that is about spiritual practice, divine nature that we explore, the wisdom teachings, and the community. So this, you're going to be seeing this symbol more and more. We're going to talk about it at the dinner on Saturday, and I just want to recognize that gratitude itself is transformational, and how we practice it, the art of gratitude, of a grateful heart, is transformational. It's in ripples out into the universe, and it makes a difference. So let's go to prayer. Thank you for watching today. If you would like more information about us, scan the QR code or go to nvcsl.org. And we'd love to see you on Sundays at 10:30 for live music, great message, and a beautiful community.